Good morning, everybody. Bujo, hello. How are you doing this morning? On this fine Tuesday morning, just turning down my phone. Welcome, everybody, to Star Nations, Star Nations organization's main fan page. And we are live streaming on Tuesday, May 22nd. And I am up at the Star Nations Academy here in Tomah, Wisconsin. This is where I've been doing the live streams for the card draws. And today is going to be kind of special too, because I'm going to be doing my show, which is Communications from Home live stream show, which usually happens on Tuesday evenings, but we're going to be doing a 12 o'clock Central Time, 1 o'clock p.m. show right from here, because I'm interviewing my good friend from over in Ireland, Amanda Murphy, and there's a little bit of a time difference between Tomah, Wisconsin and Ireland. So in order for her to be able to be comfortable, we're doing this time frame. So it's like, I think 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. by her over in Ireland when we get started with that interview. But at any rate, hello, Jill Conrad. So glad you could join me this morning. And Elise and Margaret and Sharon. So good to have you guys here. You know, yesterday was a really, really extremely busy day. And all family stuff practically, really. And having two elderly mothers now to take care of and to see that their needs are met, right? So we're still getting my mother-in-law settled in and situated in the assisted living facility that she's in up here in Tomah. And so she has settling into her new apartment and all of that. And so this morning is a much more calmer atmosphere, especially down at my house. Yesterday, I told you guys, sometimes it gets like Grand Central Station there. Usually my brother is always running late, and so I thought I had time yesterday to do the live stream, and he showed up nearly on time, and so it's like, yay, the miracles do happen. He won't like that. Sorry, apologies. But he's always running late, and we all know that, so we just kind of try to go with the flow, right? Go with the flow. Today's card draw, we keep getting repeats, and so I'm thinking that Spirit really wants us to, like we did the other day, go pretty deep with that card draw. And so today is no different here. And the card draw for this morning was the Stone People. And we've had the Stone People before. And so it's been, this is the card. This is the card, the Stone People. It's about records and knowing revealed. Yeah, and that's a picture of a stone on there. Yeah. And again, there again, you can see the colors of the medicine wheel on the drawing. The Stone People, for me, the Stone People, they're record keepers. They're the historians. They know the history of Grandmother Earth. They know the history all the way back to the very, 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 very beginnings. No matter how old the stone is, it could be just, a tiny newborn to, the Rocky Mountains or the Appalachians mountain range, or any of the huge mountain ranges. From the little to the big, they all know the story. And it's us two-leggeds that are actually, when we're in physical form, we're the ones that are the babies. We're the newbies here. And, if we don't tap into our inner knowing, our going home, that taking up the shawl, going to our heart, we don't remember those stories. We don't realize how connected we really are. And the Stone People, much like the really big trees too, like the sequoias and the redwoods, they're also record keepers, as well as the whales, right? To me, all those are the same. They're the record keepers in different ways, but they're the record keepers, the historians. And the stone people, um, they grow. I don't know if you know that. I thought it was just a joke that some of my farmer friends would tell me. They would say, "Oh yeah, they grow. We go out and pick rocks in the field, and the next spring we're picking just as many rocks. They grow and they get heavier, but they do. They really, really do. They grow in size." Um, from the little to the big, and they also go the opposite direction. They go from the big to the little, um, because that's where we get the soil from. That's where we get sand from. Some of those pebbles have been possibly really big stones, and they dissolve, right? Depending on what their makeup is. Yesterday, we had a special show for Star Nations Communications from Home. Every month, we're doing a series. Marvin Kelly and I are doing a series, and it's on taking care of our elderly parents, right? Being a caregiver for an elder. And yesterday we did it on Monday rather than Sunday, because of all kinds of reasons, but we did it show yesterday. And the show was all about crystals and stones for empathic people who are caregivers. And Mervyn is a wealth of information when it comes to stones and crystals. And so he shared quite a bit specific stones that can be helpful to empathic people when they're taking care of someone else. And today is no different. I think that is why Spirit, as I was shuffling with my intention, that card popped out. The Stone People card popped out, is because they have been front and center for about, this is the fourth day. And so, they have a lot to say. They really do. And as I was sitting with the card and sitting with a couple of my stones and crystals this morning, basically, what I was being told is that when we, the humans, the two-leggeds, when we slow down and we sit with one of the stones or one of the crystals, is we're actually listening to their story. They're telling us. We can ask them questions, sure, but it's the act of slowing down and listening to them. And they talk slowly. So it's not like you can, zip in there and say, "Hey, give me the story," and do it fast. They're not fast. They're not fast at all. Much like when you take care of an elder, there is no rushing. There is no, "Let's hurry up and do this." That just doesn't happen. And when you go into it like that, all you get is frustration, right? And so, learning how to slow down and go at someone else's pace. Well, the Stone People they communicate rather slowly, but they communicate, and they really want to tell the story that they hold, right? And what's interesting, I think, is we got the Stone People, who are the record keepers and also the storytellers. They're willing to tell the story. And Abantha Murphy is going to be coming on with me at noon, and she is going to be talking to us about female storytellers and the importance, right? So I think that this is all kind of divinely coming together and forming this network of information for us. And it's up to us to discern, what feels good to us and what feels right and what's for us. So I am going to look at what's going on in the chat room. Elise, good morning to you. And Jill said, glad to be here. Margaret, there's always seems to be one in the family that runs late. Isn't that true? Actually, my family, I've got 2 or 3. It's like the rest of us get there. Some of us get there early. Some of us get there right on time. Those are the perfectionists. And those of us who get there early, my dad used to say if he was 15 minutes early, he was 20 minutes late. And so he was one of those people who always showed up early and then complained about the people who showed up, 15 to 20 minutes late. And so, yeah, we all have it. We all have it. Just got to go with the flow with it. Not much you can do. And good morning, Robin. So glad you're with us this morning. And Rebecca, good to have you. Good to have you here. We're talking about the stone people this morning. And, and Jamie Sams, what she writes about the stone people, because I went over it one more time just to make sure, that I had the information in my head. So when we talked, she says that the stone people who are teachers for the children of earth come in many forms. And it's so true when you think about it. You got the little ones, you got the ones that get harvested. Us two-leggeds, we go out there and we dig them up and take them out of their home and bring them in so we can wear them. Well, some of them volunteer for that. That is their role. That is what they came to do, right? But for me, it depends a great deal on how they were extracted. I like to work with people who are very mindful of that. They might be doing a ceremony, or they're looking for the one stone that's saying, take me, rather than just going in and grabbing them all and then selling them. James Sams also goes on to say, the stone people who come to the surface of our Earth Mother are record holders. So, when you think about all those stones that kind of come to the surface, right? They're the record holders. And where we used to live up near Shawano, Wisconsin, which is about northeast from where I live now, talk about stones. Oh my goodness, stones galore. And in our backyard, we had this huge boulder, really. And you could only see the very, very top of it. Our dogs used to go out there and lay on it because it was warmed by the sun, right? I would go out there and sit on it with them, and it was huge. If we ever dug that up, it would have been massive, massive. But the stories that they told, they told of the river. Now that sounds like a song by America, doesn't it? The river that flowed. Our house sat on the middle branch of the Embarrass River, and that boulder, that stone, told me the story about how that little stream, that was a stream that became a middle branch of the Embarrass River, how that got formed, and all the little pebbles that are at the bottom of that stream, and they saw the world go by. Another time in Ireland, was that 2 years ago? We were at the grotto, and I can't remember which city that's in, or near Wicklow, maybe. Anyway, it's always rainy in Ireland, always. So you just go prepared. Rain pants, rain jacket, hat, that kind of thing. And as I was getting prepared for the day, my spiritual team was saying, make sure you take your rain gear. Take your rain gear. So I packed my rain gear in my backpack, and we get on the bus and we go into the grotto. And we're pulling into the grotto, and I hear my team saying to me, put your rain suit on. It wasn't raining out. Had been, but it wasn't when we got there. So everybody's getting off the bus. Here I am, getting my rain suit on, my rain pants and my jacket, and getting my backpack on, and we're going out. And this is a place that is, when you walk through the gate, the stone gateway, it's quiet. You go in quiet. You don't talk while you're in there. People are praying, and it's a quiet place. And it really is very, very quiet, very peaceful. And so anyway, I went through the tour, and I spent time in there, and we were taking our time, and I came out, and I was touching the stone fence and fence line and feeling the energy there. And I could hear or feel a pull, And so I looked around, and I thought, what is that? And out in the parking lot, past the parking lot, there was this stone. And people hadn't cut the grass around it for a while. So I walked over to it, and it was pretty wet. And actually, I was getting invited to please sit. I'd like to tell you a story, right? And so the stone, this huge stone, proceeded to tell me how he watched time roll by and things come and go. Um, the trees, how they grew, and some of them died, and the little ones started, and now they're big, and the different people, watching the people come and go, how time rolls by, and everything that Stone saw, and literally the story, the moral of the story is to breathe, slow down, take time, and see what's around you. See what's around you every single day, because things change. It might not look like it does, but it does. And to take it in. And so that's why I had to wear the rain suit, is because it was really wet over there. And to be able to sit on a stone and be comfortable, and not worry about my clothes getting soaked, you know. And so they're storytellers. And if we take our time, they have things to say. They have things to say to us. Jill is saying stone people include mountains. Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. When you think about, Jill, when you think about, I forget which mountain range is by you in upstate New York. I should know this, and I'm drawing a blank. Could you remind me, Jill, which mountain range that is? Because I know that when I was up there all those years ago, you're also kind of sitting near a fault line too, aren't you? Is where it shifts, it changes from the mountains to the Adirondacks. Thank you. I knew it was something like that, Adirondacks. And that near you, there's also that the change from the mountains to the streams and the waters, and there's that shift, right? Well, in your area, because that mountain range it's extremely old, it's very, very ancient. And so when you go hiking up there, just when you sit on one of the rocks, just ask them to tell you this. Tell me a story. Tell me a story about this area. What happened here? What's important for me to know here? They'll tell you. Just sit there and listen. You know, they might give you pictures. You might actually hear them if that's how you bring in information. You'll have a sense of knowing if that's how you bring information in. But you have to be slower. You have to take the time to be there, and because it's going to take a little while for them to get the story out. So if you can, be patient. Be patient. That's another thing they teach us, is about patience and being slower. Jamie Sands says the language of stones is a personal discovery with many messages for each individual. They have things to tell us. And as I was sitting there with the stones, my stones this morning, what came to me, what they were telling me, is that especially our birthstones, not the synthetic ones, but our birthstones, like mine is turquoise, that when I wear it or if I sit with it, they can tell me, the turquoise stone can tell me about people born in the month of December, because that's the kind of information that they hold. And so if you want to know about, it's kind of a little bit like astrology in a way, that they can tell me about the personality of a Sagittarian. Or if you want to know about someone else's birthday, the emeralds, or, the pearls, or any one of them. All you have to do is sit and with them, and let them tell you the story. Let's see. Jamie Sams, she says the stone people mark time in which knowing will be revealed to you. Your personal records are held by these libraries of rock. They can help you with all kinds of things, memories, past lives, that kind of stuff. Whatever the case, you are now in a position to know where you came from and where you are going. Where you came from and where you are going. The ancient friends are the oldest children of earth and only ask us to stop and listen. To stop and listen. And so, like I said, it's been a few days. It's been about the stone people and storytelling. record keeping, helping us to understand ourselves. I wondered, oh, this is a show and tell. Some of the stones that have been gifted to me. This has been painted on. The stone volunteered to be painted. And so it has the medicine wheel in the 4 directions and the power animals in each one of those directions. Yep. It's heavy. It sits on one of my altars, actually. And when you're sitting with the stones, they're going to tell you about things like this, what's on them and how they got there and what it means. They can tell you about their life. I think it's cool, but it's kind of heavy. It is heavy. I've always liked stones, even when I was a kid. I thought I just got it from my parents because they're the same way. And same artist. She gave me this one too. Now, not every stone wants to be painted on. You have to ask. You have to ask, and they're willing to hold that artwork. I think they're fun. She does such a good job on that too. She's from Michigan, and I can't recall her name. I mean, this was given to me back in 2009. 2009. And Jill is saying, I should probably be embarrassed to say this, but I encountered huge old mountains during a journey. It was humbling and a little scary because how ancient they were. I tried to approach with respect and ask permission to talk, but they flicked me away as if I was a gnat. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I would do. And this is what I was taught. Okay. Is that no matter where you are, whatever sacred space it is to honor the boundary. That's the sacred space, right? And if you want to enter, you have to do an energy exchange, an offering. And so, I would use tobacco, but you could use anything. You could take water with you and pour some water out and ask for permission to pass. Ask for permission to pass. And then wait. And sometimes, yes, you are told you can't pass. If this isn't for you. And then you have to honor that, right? Same place that I was telling you about in Ireland at that grotto. I was poking around. I was getting off the path, right? And because I noticed there was another lighter footpath. And I thought, gee, I wonder what's over there. I'm going to go look, right? And so I'm walking along the path. You had to crawl over some stones. And I was on the footpath and I'm walking, and there was this, we would call it a blackberry bush. Because they had thorns on it. They weren't huge, but they were growing across the path, and so they were intertwined. They were, I think, the guardians or the gatekeeper. And so I went up to it, and I was talking to the bush, and I was saying, I'd like to have permission to pass. I had some tobacco out, and I put it down, and I was waiting, and it was very, very kind. It's like, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. But that person over there, and made me turn around to look, said, he can come. Great. So I went over and talked to one of the other travelers with us and said, I was just over there and I was told I couldn't go, but they said that you could. And so why don't you go check it out, see if that was right. Good information. Go ask if you can go, if you want to go. Sure enough, he got a yes, and he was able to find a way through the brambles so he could get to, and found a huge tree that he went and literally laid in to get information, spend some time. Here's another stone. This one, they all have stories. This one is from the Azores. It's lava rock. And I thought, I wasn't going to bring this because I thought, it's lava. It's sharp. It's got sharp edges. It's light. It looks like it would be really heavy, but it's very, very light. when this is another, what, 1980s, I think it was. We were in the Azores, Paul and I, and it's a volcanic island, and they have black beaches. Kind of cool. Um, I was leaving. We were leaving the next day, and we went with another couple, some friends of ours, and we were out. There, you can't swim in the ocean there, but they have tide pools that you can go in, and they're kind of surrounded by the lava rock, right? And so um, I'm not a good swimmer, and I was just going to go and kind of hang out at the edge. So I get in, and I actually got cut on a lava rock, right? I was wondering why people were wearing shoes in there. So anyway, we get out, and our driver, um, he had a crush on me. He was taking care of my foot, right? And uh, so anyway, we got that all taken care of, and then he came back, and he had this lava for me, and he says, as a souvenir, so you'll always remember your trip here. And and you're not supposed to take this stuff, you know. And so I sat with the lava, and I was willing to say, you know, thank you for coming to me and sharing your story with me. And but if you'd like to return home, I will take you back. And I want to come home with you. And so this lava rock has moved with me like 4 times. Lava, and isn't it? I mean, with Pele doing her thing out in the big island of Kauai, you know, yeah, not Kauai, the big island in Kilauea has all that molten lava flowing to the ocean. So I think that was the reason why this guy wanted to come be on camera. One last thing I want to show you, a little show and tell. I don't know if you can see this. It's a necklace. It looks like a necklace anyway. And it's got many, many tiny little stone beads on it and fetishes out of stone. It's very intricate and a lot of things going on in here. A lot. It's got an eagle fetish right there. Or see if we can do it that way. Thunderbird, maybe. That's what it feels like to me, maybe more than eagle. It's got tiny little chips on it too, beaded, you know, the stone chips that are beads. I had this specially made for my dog, for Ginger. And Ginger walked on. She left us about, it's going to be 5 years in November. And I was going to send this with her. I was going to return it back to Grandmother Earth to send her home with this, right? And I got a distinct no from both her and many of the stones and crystals on here that they wanted to remain with me. And so I get a lot of Ginger energy because this was made specifically for her. From a man over in Minnesota, Stillwater, I think it is, Stillwater. Yeah, and Ginger just loved wearing this. She couldn't wear it like all day. A lot of times she didn't have a collar on when we were just in the house. We used to tell her she was running around naked. But she would, when I would put this on her, because I'd ask her, do you want your necklace on? And she'd bump me with her nose, you know, and so I would put this necklace on her. And it was really about giving her like a recharge energy. And so, and she'd let me know when she was done wearing it, you know. So I would take it off from her and we'd hang it up. And so, you know, a couple times a week, she'd have it on. So that's lots of, I know we two-leggeds like to wear our stones and crystals because one, they're very pretty. There's things that we're drawn to, but there's a reason why we're drawn to them. If you sit with them and you understand their qualities, their personalities, what they're here to help us with, um, that's one of the reasons why you like them so much, is because they're here to help you with something. And so the same way, we can do that with our four-legged friends too, because you can do this for horses. A lot of times what they'll do is on the bridle stuff, they will stitch the stone beads on to the bridles and that sort of thing. So if you wanted to add the stone people and what they do for us, what they do for us and with us. Yeah. Robin, I thought I was supposed to use containers to garden in. I listened to yesterday's show and realized as this started, my stones wants to be recharged in organic dirt. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they can be cleared and cleansed by grandmother Earth. But for stones, if you want to send them to a spa to take a vacation to get recharged, returning them to grandmother Earth for a little bit, that God, that would be like one of the 5-star spas for us. Yeah. Absolutely. But one of the things that you want to do if you do put them back into the earth for them to be recharged. Merlin actually suggested to put them in a natural fabric bag. Okay. And then to especially if you do this outside somewhere, and to put a flag or to mark the place where you put them. Yeah, because as two-leggeds, as humans, we forget. We forget, I thought it was here. And the other thing is that some of our stones and crystals, some of the stone people, when they have completed their time with us, their experience with us, many times they want to go home. They just want to go back to grandmother Earth. And it's okay. It's okay. You can return them to grandmother. You can do a little ceremony for them. Maybe give them some tobacco or put a little offering with them in thankfulness for what they came and did with you. They're one of our friends. They're a relative, right? And so some of them will want to return back to grandmother Earth, and that's okay. That's all right. I did a show. I can't even tell you when it was. January, February, maybe. It was early in 2018. It was about bequeathing our sacred items. No, it wasn't a show. It was a class. It was a class. I did a show in 2016, I think it was, about bequeathing our sacred tools when we're ready to retire from our work, or we're going to be walking on, is to identify what tools you want to give to somebody or how you want them returned to grandmother Earth or to the water or something like that. And so the stone people, some of them will want to just be returned to the earth, and that's the best place for them, for them to go home. And I've returned some of mine to the earth because they were finished. It's like when we're done with a project or with a job, or we're ready to go on to the next experience. They're the same way. Now I want to read you the poem for the stone people, Jamie Sams. I can turn the page. Get my reading voice on. Stone people. Record holders of the earth, will you please explain the history that gave us birth, the truth you do contain? Like your cousins of the seas, the shells that let us hear, sacred whispers are the key to the history we hold dear. Stone people, we will hear you. Teach us the ancient ways so we may build a future based on prayer and praise. Yeah, I like that. I like those poems that she has for each one of the cards. So, stone people, they're here for a reason, and why the card came up again today for us to share about the stone people and what they're here to do for us and with us. Um, and sometimes, like Jill, it's just to be able to slow down and go sit with them, ask them, ask them permission, and listen to their story and what they can share with us. Can you please post that? Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that. The poem? Yeah, I can do that. It might not be until later in the day, Robin. We get a busy morning here at Star Nations because in about 20 minutes or so, chakra sessions with Polly Jo LeBay is going to be starting. And then right after that, right after, I'll be doing an interview with Amantha Murphy, a live stream show. So with Communications from Home. So it's kind of a busy morning, but you know what? I can get to put that poem listed later today, this afternoon. All right. Well, you know what? Okay. Thank you, Robin. Say no hurry. Have a really beautiful day. And if you can stick around and join us for the next couple of shows, that would be great. But if you can't, that's okay. That's why they're recorded. You can always listen to the recording. And if you get a chance, if you have some stones already in your home with you, is to pick one up and sit with it for a little bit and ask them about their story. Tell me your story and listen to what they have to say. Interesting stuff. It really is. All right. Well, until tomorrow with the next card draw, have a good day, okay? Ba Mina. Until we see each other again.